Hello everyone. In this question, we will figure out which property being used in this step as one of the steps to solve the equation. To do this, let's write the equation first, which is 3/4 x equal 12. Something happened on this side to make it like 3x equal 48. In this equation, let's start with the fraction 3/4. In this fraction, we can write the fraction as follows, like 3 multiplied by 1 over 4 multiplied by 1. Of course, it is multiplied by x. As in math, we know that the property which is identity property of multiplication, and in this property, if you have a number, for example 3 in this case here, and you multiply this number by 1, so the answer will be the same number, which is 3. That's why in this case, when we write the 3, we can write it as 3 multiplied by 1. Another property in math that we should care about, which is what we call it the commutative property. And in commutative property, order, and here we are talking about the commutative property of multiplication. By this property, as I said, the order doesn't matter. For example, if you have a number which is 3, and then you multiply this number by number like or as 1, so 3 multiplied by 1, we can rearrange it, so we can make the 1 at the beginning and the 3 instead of 1, so we can write it as 1 multiplied by 3. So this is the same answer. So we can arrange it like this, like 1 multiplied by 3. So we change 3 multiplied by 1 to be 1 multiplied by 3. And then we can divide by 4 multiplied by 1. Of course, multiplied by x. Now we can change this side here as fraction as follows. We can say 1/4 multiplied by 3 over 1 multiplied by x. Of course, we can write x as x over 1. As you can see, we make the 3x isolated now, and this is the main idea, to isolate the 3x. As it appears here, it's being isolated, but I still have here the 1/4. So how can I isolate the 3x in this case? So I need another property in math, and we call this property is the inverse property of multiplication. In this property, if you have a number, for example 1/4, and then you flipped the number, so here we will flip the number. For example, the numerator change to be in denominator, and vice versa for the denominator as for b change the location to be in the numerator. So we need to 1/4 multiplied by 4 over 1. If you do this, so if you take the number and you flipped that number, in this case the answer should be equal to 1. So to use this property, actually what we need is taking the 1/4, so multiply it by the reciprocal or multiply it by flipped. So if we flipped 1/4, it will be 4 over 1. Then we keep going, like multiply it by 1/4, multiply it by 3 over 1, multiply it by x over 1. Now we can see that 4 over 1 multiplied by 1/4 end up with 1, and we can write 1 as 1 over 1 multiplied by 3 over 1 multiplied by x over 1. Using the identity property like this, so any number or any expression or any thing can be multiplied by 1, we will end with the same thing. So if we start by 3, we will end up with a 3. As you can see, we can multiply the whole this side, which is 3 over 1 multiplied by x1 by 1. So you will get 3 over 1 multiplied by x over 1. So here is the deal, 3 over 1 multiplied by x over 1. Now we can use the fraction as follows. 3 we can multiply it by x, and 1 you can multiply it by 1. At the end we will get 3 times x, which is 3x over 1 multiplied by 1, which is 1. Of course we can write this as 3x. This is a long, as you see, it's a long procedure, but finally we will reach to the summary at the end, so we can use it easily. Okay, in this case you are talking about this side of equation, but I still have this side of equation, which is 12. The whole issue is multiplied by 4 over 1. So the 4 in the denominator, so we can write it as 1 over 4. So we multiply it by the reciprocal, or we multiply it by the flipped, when we flipped 1/4 to be 4th, so we'll multiply everything by 4th. The same thing, we will now multiply the 12, this 12 by the 4, and we will end up with the 48. So remember that we have here the equity. So finally the answer will be like this. So the first thing, which is 3x, so we have the 3x, and we have the equity. So here is the equity, and then we will end up with 48. So we will have like 48. As you can see, we reach to the same result that being written in the question. So the basic idea behind this, behind isolating 3x, is multiplying by 4 over 1. So going back to the question, we can see that what is the property that being used? Of course, it is not addition property as A, addition property of equality. It is not B, it is not division property of equality. It is not C, like reflexive property of equality. It is D as multiplication property of equality. And I reach to this conclusion because this is exactly how the question asked. So we can see that isolating 3x will be through like multiplication of therefore. Thank you for watching this video. Hope to see you guys in next videos.